They're saying that this plan is gonna make you perfect, make everybody love you, cure the world of cancer, keep all disease away. That's that. Hey guys, welcome to my channel, or welcome back. My name is Kat. I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist and I do online nutrition coaching. I wanted to talk today about how to see if you're getting bad diet advice. Now, there's a lot of information. Everybody knows there's millions of articles, blog posts, videos, coaches in general, even dietitians online, and sometimes it can feel like you don't know who to trust or who to listen to. I'm not here to say like I know all things, because I do not know all things, but I do know a lot about nutrition and nutrition coaching through my degree, continuing education, practice, additional certifications. And so what my goal is to tell you how to like weed out what the best information is for you in particular. So to preface this, nutrition is a science, and when we're applying it to people, that's the behavior science aspect. And so you have like the biochemical side where we know the physiology and biochemistry of nutrition, but then you also have to pair that with behavior science. And really with that combination, you need to go into it with a context that there's not going to be any absolutes, that everything is going to be on a spectrum and gray in some areas. I do have a podcast. It's called IronMVMNT. It's one word, and movement is without the vowels. And with that company of IronMVMNT, our color is gray. And we chose gray as a color specifically because nutrition is gray when we're talking about the biochemistry and applying that to people and really helping people with those long-term habits. There's not going to be like one right thing or one right way of eating. And so that kind of leads to the next point that I wanted to talk about. People have really a lot of concerns that this person did amazing on this diet, this person is recommending this diet because it helped them out, while they maybe have tried this other diet that made them, feel amazing and be at their goal weight or whatever. And so what I really like to refocus people on is what are the similarities between all of those different diets and ways of eating. A lot of times you're going to find that they have the same foundations, a foundation where they're in some way controlling caloric intake, so how many calories are consumed, and maybe they're not like counting or anything, which I don't recommend for the large majority of people, but they are still kind of, that's coming into play in some way or another. Another thing is that they're encouraging people to have more of a mindful approach to eating, or a better word would be like more intentional ways of eating rather than going at it just completely mindlessly. And so with that, you're also gonna, even if you're not really trying to, you're gonna be more in touch with like your hunger and your fullness cues. And overall, you're putting in more energy and effort and time and focus into your nutrition with any of those kinds of diets or ways of eating. So there are a lot of similarities. Now there are also a lot of differences, and for the majority of time, those differences are more related to preference, or let's say if you have a specific medical nutrition therapy need. But beyond that, I would say for the wide majority of people, when people are like, oh, I recommend this diet or that diet, it's more so on that preference side. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get into how to tell if you're getting bad diet advice. Number one is that there's no long-term focus. Now this is going to be different if you have a very specific need, like a medical nutrition therapy need. I did start my career working in a hospital as a clinical dietitian, and so sometimes we would need to put people on a clear liquid diet or some other kind of diet that was for a specific reason and with supervision. So like, let's say somebody has a gallbladder issue, or maybe they just got their gallbladder out, they are going to have a very short-term difference in what their recommendations are for a healthy diet for them for that short amount of time. And the intention is to not have to live like that long-term. So we're not talking about medical nutrition therapy needs right now. We're talking about overall how the general population is approaching a diet and looking for diet advice or nutrition advice. So if it has no long-term focus, then it's probably not the best choice. All right, so the next way to find out if you're getting bad diet advice is if the plan that you're looking at or the diet you're looking at requires you to completely cut out a nutrition route. Now, again, this is not talking about if you have a legitimate medical nutrition therapy need for cutting out that specific thing, but just overall, like tells you don't eat any fat or don't eat any carbs or don't even eat any sugar. So this is also not taken into account if you were looking at a FODMAP diet, if you're working with a dietitian and incorporating a FODMAP diet, which is where there are specific kinds of foods with certain kinds of carbohydrates in them that don't really get absorbed in certain people's intestines as well. And so there can be some water retention and some fermentation by the gut microflora. And so there can be some increased gassiness and bloating and overall not really feeling good. That is a short-term thing. It's not a no FODMAP diet, it's a low FODMAP diet. So again, working with a professional and helping you to figure out how to implement that and how to have a long-term focus where that's not going to be like your forever plan. The third one, this one gets me so heated. So the third way to tell you're getting bad diet advice, hi Sully, you coming in? Yeah, lay down. The third way is if the plan or the diet has a foundation of fear connected with it or attached to it, associated with it in any way. Fear should not be the deciding factor in how you are eating. Fear should not be the deciding factor of deciding how you're going to eat. So when you see these very fear-inducing, these fear-mongering tactics, you can be pretty sure that it's not the most non-biased approach. It's not going to take into account a lot of information that doesn't support it. And with these specific diets that have a lot of fear-mongering in them, you'll find that they have very radical, and there are some times when being very passionate about what you're doing, I think that's important, that's a good thing. I'm very passionate about nutrition. But when there is a group of people who are very passionate about one specific kind of way of eating, and it's like that or nothing else, and everybody else is just completely wrong, that is a really big sign that there's a lot of bias going on there. And if there is any signs within that group, there's probably a lot of cherry picking going on. That kind of leads into the next point. So number 4 is a specific way of eating is the only way of eating. If that's what this group or this plan is saying, if they're saying that this plan is gonna make you perfect, make everybody love you, cure the world of cancer, keep all disease away, that's bad. So humans, there are things that we all need, but there is also that room for individualization, and it is okay that one way that a specific person eats really helps them to feel great. That doesn't mean that having someone else eat another way that makes them feel great, that doesn't mean that that person is doing it wrong. It's just different, and it's okay that we can have different needs. Maybe some person thrives on a higher carbohydrate diet and some other person might thrive on a higher fat diet. There is a lot of food morality when you're talking about diets that does not need to be there. Food is a neutral thing. It is not a moral choice. I mentioned food neutrality a lot in my overall coaching, and it's something that I am really passionate about, is not having this food morality, good, bad kind of approach to nutrition. And that's something that you see a lot in diets. Okay, so I'm getting a little bit more heated, but this next one, oh my goodness. If the diet requires you to buy a specific product that person gets paid on. So it's not to say that you can't get paid in an ethical way. You can get paid from recommending someone something, and that's fine. Even if you're providing a service, I do nutrition coaching, I charge for my nutrition coaching because it's valuable. But there is not one specific product that I recommend for everybody, and I say that you can't have a healthy diet and not have this in your life. Like, you have to have this in your life. Like, that is not something that I do. That's not something that I ever will do. And that's not something that is necessary for health. You can get a very healthy plan, a very healthy way of eating by going to a normal grocery store. You don't have to special order anything. You don't have to include a specific kind of superfood or supplement or anything. Just eating food, knowing how to pair the foods in the grocery store in a way that supports your health is totally doable with good nutrition coaching. Number 6 is that it requires you to have 1 or 2 shakes a day. I have a problem with specifically like weight loss diets in particular. So I am against plans that put weight loss as like the only thing that's important and the only thing that matters. So a lot of times these diets, these companies will do the shortcut to that weight loss because they know that if somebody sees that weight loss, they're going to continue with that plan. And so one of the most basic things to promote weight loss is to reduce calories. And with these shakes that they are providing, first off, most of them taste really, really bad. But by having those 1 to 2 shakes, you're getting in less calories overall. And so you are going to promote that weight loss. And it's not in a sustainable way. Like, do you really want to be drinking shakes, like 2 shakes a day for the rest of your life? All right, and the next one is if it's coming from a questionable source. So if that person is parroting off these diet rules or restrictions around food and they can't explain why or where that recommendation is coming from, what the purpose is, how is it going to impact that person long term, like, I do love that so many people are passionate about nutrition and health, but unfortunately, I have seen so many things where people share information and are in this position of sharing information that's really harmful. And those people do know a good amount of nutrition, but unfortunately, I've seen a lot of people who know like just enough to be dangerous. Oh, my package is here. And I know you don't have to be an expert at something in order to help people. I recognize that. I know there are a lot of amazing nutrition coaches who really help people with the actions and the practices and that behavior side of coaching that is so helpful and so important. And maybe they don't have that like formal education. And I think there is a way to do that in a very healthy and balanced way, but that is very rare. And unfortunately, a lot of times people don't know what they don't know, right? Like, obviously. So it's hard, and it's a hard situation overall, but just looking at that person's experience, any kind of credentialing that they have, making sure they're not spouting off information from a company that is less than ethical. And maybe I'll start shouting out the specific plans that I see are really problematic. Overall, just being open to looking at the sources of where they're getting their information from. Okay, so now we are in the good advice. How to tell you're getting good nutrition advice. Now, this doesn't have to come from me. Good nutrition advice can come from so many people. There are amazing nutrition coaches out there. There are amazing registered dietitians out there, nutritionists, and just a lot of really qualified health professionals. So ways to know that you're getting good advice. Number 1 is that it supports your physical, mental, and social well-being. So if you're getting nutrition advice that supports your physical well-being, but it harms your mental well-being in some way, it's not good. If you are increasing your physical well-being, but you're decreasing any other portion or way of your well-being, that is not good. That's not overall promoting health. So it needs to be something that promotes all of those things, the wholeness of health. Number 2 is that it takes into account your environment. So if you're expecting to have this like completely prepped plan and you have a limited amount of space in your refrigerator because of your family size, or your kitchen is not really gonna allow you to prepare all of that food all at one time, like if it's not overall supporting and built into your environment, it's probably not going to be something that you can do long term, and it's not going to be good nutrition advice for you, at least at that time. And your environment also takes into account who you're living with, if you're living with somebody, how supportive they are, how supportive they're not, all of that. Next is that it takes into account your skill level, your knowledge level. You don't want to have a plan that you have to prepare food for if you only know how to cook cereal or oatmeal or something of that sort. So it has to match your skill level and definitely get you outside of your bubble. You know, you do want to grow and learn, but it has to be at an appropriate rate and at an appropriate amount. The next one is that it takes your food preferences into consideration, and it doesn't require you to completely stop having your favorite foods. It incorporates it into your normal life. And it also takes into account what is healthy for you, not what is healthy for Pam down the street, but what is healthy for you. The next way you can tell that you're getting good nutrition advice is that it's not black or white. It's not this all or nothing kind of approach. It takes into account the context that surrounds it and the context of what's going on that day or that week, and it's not going to say that you're either good or bad. Also, it's not going to negate the social determinants of health. It's going to take into consideration all of the things that are outside of your control that determine health too. It also takes into account your budget. So if you want to spend $400 on groceries a month, you can do that. Or if you want to spend $200 on groceries a month, it can also do that depending on where you're living, how your food preferences are, where your skill level is, all of that. Budget should also be taken into consideration. And the last one, I'm done with my notes, is that it doesn't make you feel crappy about not being perfect. You do not have to follow a plan to get health. You don't have to be perfect in order to feel great, to feel energized. You don't have to follow anything perfectly in order to get health. Some people get really happy, and I love that for them if they can go on a plan, a diet, and not cheat or anything. But what I'm really proud of for when I see people doing is that they can do something that is overall supporting their health. It's making them feel great, and they don't have to be perfect. They can still enjoy that cake at their birthday, or they can still have a bowl of ice cream if they want, or snack on some Reese's Pieces in the afternoon if they want. Like, it is a place where you can eat overall in a way that supports your physical, mental, and social well-being. And how that looks is going to look different for everybody. So I hope that cleared up some questionable advice. I'm really enjoying making these videos. Please subscribe, like, comment, give me some engagement. I would love that, absolutely love that, and be so grateful. I hope you have an awesome day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.